Chamber 2 is definitely a lot harder than Chamber 1. And honestly, if you ask me, it's my least favorite level in the entire game. I mean, there's honestly nothing really interesting about it. I mean, there's like nothing, no stuff to like play around with, like the chandeliers from Chamber 1, for example, or other things from like later worlds. Unlike in later worlds or Chamber 1, there's really nothing to do here. There's really nothing special about it. Well, aside from these fire cauldrons that you can flip that make the enemies go on fire, but they also make you go on fire, so they can go fuck off. This chamber does introduce a lot more stuff though. It introduces more enemies, new trap rooms, and even mini bosses occasionally. They don't show up that much. But they are still total bastards like this bomb guy over here. He honestly can go fuck off. Now, as for tips for World 2, I will say it is incredibly best if you use your gun you got from the first world and just use it for the entirety of World 2. Because it not only makes World 2 a lot more easier, but using your beginner gun in World 2 is a fucking nightmare. There are some exceptions, like the robot's beginner gun, or the bullet's beginner gun. Wait, wait a second. Wait. What do you mean they are secret characters? Well, I can't just use those characters every time? I have to unlock them? Oh, okay. How do you unlock the robot then? Oh, okay, so you have to go through entirety of the game without dodge rolling? That sounds like a nightmare. Anyway, in other words, using your beginner gun in World 2 is not a good idea. So just stick to the gun you probably got from World 1, otherwise you're probably screwed. As for annoying room tips, there's really not much I can say, just like in World 1. There's really not that many annoying rooms. But there is one fucker room, and it's this one. This tiny room with the Magic Man and the Lead Maiden. The worst thing possibly about this room is that there's a Lead Maiden, and they suck, and there's also a Magic Man, which is powering the Lead Maiden up. Now, tips for this room, I recommend, you know when an enemy spawns, there's like this red thing? Well, two of those red things go on the top and the bottom. The bottom is where the Lead Maiden spawns, and the top is where the Magic Man spawns. Now, go to the top where the Magic Man spawns, and basically shoot the shit out of the Magic Man as soon as he spawns, and then go back down and just shoot the shit out of the Lead Maiden. Easy. Now, just in case if any of you are like having trouble with trap rooms, I will say that these trap rooms require like precise dodge rolling. Like you really need to be good at dodge rolling to like be good at like not getting hit in these maps. So for some tips, I will recommend just stopping in a place where you probably can't get hit, looking at the obstacles in your way, and then just think of how you're gonna get through said obstacles in your way. That is how I get through most of these trap rooms, and I'm sure you can too. Also, avoid the curse spots, okay? If you step near its area, then you get cursed, and when you get cursed, harder enemies will spawn. So yeah, don't step near the curse spots. Now, before we step into the enemy section, I want to mention some enemies I forgot to mention in my last video, so I'll be mentioning them now. The enemies I forgot to mention are the ghouls, the slimes, and the intimidating gun nut. That's not their actual names, but that's what I like to call them. So the ghouls are basically the regular bullet guys with a shotgun, except they move more often and they also like to disappear at times. The slimes, if you hit them, then they split up into more enemies, and the intimidating gun nut just swings his blade around, and if you dealt with all the enemies in the room, he throws the blade, so... Okay, let's move on to the enemy section. First, we have the cubes. Now, unlike the gun nut, which you can easily cheese, these guys are different because you actually have to dodge roll through their attacks. There's no way to get through it. Next, we have the firemen. Now, these guys are just like the cubes, except they move a lot, and if you get hit by their attacks, you go on fire. So yeah, that's annoying. Next, we have the executioners. Now, these guys are super tricky because not only do they launch a parade of attacks on you, but they also do this. And that sucks. Next up, we have the spiders. Now, you know when someone like farts on your face? It's not like a normal fart at all. It's like you actually can die from that fart. Well, that's what the spiders do, and they can go suck an ass. Next up are the round guys. Now, unlike the regular cube guys, these guys are much worse because they launch like 5 different attacks at you. And all of these attacks are like incredibly hard to dodge. So, yeah, I definitely recommend if you see this guy anywhere in the room, kill him. Next up are the eyesore babies. Now, these guys shoot and they don't stop shooting, and that's why they are bastards. Next up are the lead maidens. Now I've already talked about how annoying these guys are before, but now I'm gonna go into the details. You see, first reasons why they're annoying is because you can't shoot them half the time. And when you can shoot them, they... Okay, I'm pretty sure some of you have already noticed the trend with the enemies by now. And the trend is that they're all annoying shitheads. So, if you see any of these enemies that I just mentioned in a room, I recommend just killing them immediately. Okay, so next up are the snipers. Now for the snipers, I recommend dodge rolling away from their attacks, because their projectiles literally come at you so fast that it's pretty hard to react to them, so just dodge rolling away is probably the best option. Next up are the launchy blue guys. These guys actually hurt you, and that's why they're annoying. Next up are the bandana bullet guys. Now honestly, I don't see what's so special about these guys since they're literally not too different from the regular bullet guys with a shotgun. So, I don't know. Next up are the big fuck you bats. Now these guys also fall into the category of kill them immediately if you see them, because their bullets bounce. And that is bad. And finally, we have the triangle shooting fuckholes. But these guys shoot triangles and they can go suck a dick. Fuck these guys. Okay, now let's move on to the bosses. First up, fuck you, you stupid fucking Amoconda piece of shit. You've literally killed all of my runs and you also stole my Skylanders, which will not be accepted. Alright, I'm just gonna say right now that the Amoconda is probably the hardest boss in the game that I've faced. I mean, it's just so incredibly bullshit, honestly. Not only do you have to dodge its bazillion of attacks that it throws at you, but you also have to deal with it following you fucking everywhere. It's a cool boss, don't get me wrong, it's just not, well, designed well, and that doesn't really make it, well, fair. So for the tips I can give, I recommend staying as far away from the Anaconda as possible, and I also recommend killing its minions, because not only do they power up the Anaconda, but they also make it a lot faster, which is definitely a problem. So if you ever hear like a sizzle sound from the Anaconda, that probably means a minion spawned, and you probably should definitely kill it. Next up we have Medusa with 2 machine guns, and this boss is, well, fairly simple, and by fairly simple I mean it's the easiest boss in the game. I mean, do I really have to give out tips for this guy? I mean, I'm pretty sure any single normal human being can beat it, so I'm just gonna move on. And finally, we have the eyesore. Now, sidestepping in this boss is very important. You basically have to do 0 dodge rolling in this entire boss. Well, aside from when this attack comes, that's where you have to dodge roll. I also recommend using a rapid fire gun when you're facing this boss, because he has this missile attack, and if you have like a chargey weapon or like a weapon that only shoots 2 bullets, you're not gonna do too well avoiding the missile attack. So a rapid fire gun is really good for this boss. And that is all for World 2. Now let's move on to World 3.